Nice, we are live. So need to still practice my ancient Hebrew writing, but I'm getting better. It's not easy because it's almost like it looks like you draw every letter. But I guess that's what you feel when you're not practiced enough. We'll get there. Beautiful. So I hope everyone is doing well. Today I decided to discuss this week's Parasha, which starts with, in ancient Hebrew we say which means that Moses, the prophet Moses, led the Israelites from the Sea of Soph. That was interesting because Soph means ending in Hebrew, or in ancient Hebrew. So you have to wonder, why is it called Soph, right? So I wonder what is the origin of this, like why this sea is called the Yam Soph. That's one thing, one question I will leave. Why? We'll leave to my uncle. Yam Soph. So Mushi iti Israel mi Yam Soph. So after the, of course, the splitting of the sea and the exodus from Egypt, this is the Nobe. And of course the last Nobe we had, the last Parasha, Nobe means Parasha, the last Parasha we had, the family sat together and we read the part where of course the famous song of the sea, the song of the sea with Moses, which is known to be in ancient Hebrew as the Yashar. And everyone got to read their own verse, and by the end of the Parasha we had this beautiful tradition of eating knafe. I love this moment. It's you're kind of been praying for about 4 hours, because it's from 3 till 7 a.m. in the morning, and then from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. it's the Parasha of the week, and then we have like really delicious sweets. So that's one of my favorite times. The knafe, the famous Nabulsian knafe. It's kind of like a sweet beginning of the festivals, because now winter is almost done, and usually by the beginning of spring, the festivals begin. So yeah. So continuing on, and like I said here, Mushi would be around, so I can follow up with you in Hebrew and in English. There we go. And Moses led Israel onward from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur. So it's interesting to see where is the wilderness of Shur. It would be, of course, before Sinai, right? So I would imagine that right at the beginning. Alright. So there was 3 days of traveling in the desert. And usually, this number 3 is, you'll see this pattern repeating itself. Number 3 days. Joseph held his 2 brothers, I believe, 3 days. The Israelites were not allowed to touch Mount Sinai at some point for 3 days. So now, of course, they are in the wilderness, and there's challenge. It says here that my OBS studio had failed. Am I still? Reconnection successful. Should be good. Hello, can you explain tefillin abud? According to the Samaritans, tefillin, Daniel, we do not exactly have tefillin. We do not put tefillin, like during the Shema, the tefillin is more taken upon as a spiritual thing, meaning that you remember the word, you put it in front of you, between your eyes, meaning wherever you go, you remember it. But we do have the mezuzah right on top of the entry of the door. So continuing on, we have Ba'u Mirta. So Mirta is another place around the right before the entry of the desert of Sinai. So they could not drink from that water. So here we can see, and when they came to Mara, in ancient Hebrew Mirra, they could not drink of the waters of Mara, for they were bitter. Therefore the name of it was called Mara. So of course, what happens when they are out of water, need food, they rebel, they start to basically, like the Torah says here, Yillan. Yillan is, let's take the exact word, murmured, apparently here in English, but I believe there's other words, against Moses, saying, what shall we drink? Manishti, where it's just when we have questions in ancient Hebrew here, Manishti. In this case, it's 3 points with this dash, but usually it's also other signs when it's a question. But anyway, they told him, what do we drink? And Moses cried to God, and he cried unto the Lord, and the Lord showed him a tree. And he cast it into the waters, and the waters were made sweet. There he made for them a statute and an ordinance, and there he proved them. So in ancient Hebrew we read, Shemma shamlu aq umashfat. Now aq in Arabic, aq means, well, we say haq, and it kind of means right. The right for the person to live, the right for the person, different rights. That's what it means. And mashfat means kind of, in Hebrew we say mishpat. So mishpat is a law. So you say right and law. So why did the Torah mention here at this point, Shemma shamlu aq umashfat ushemma nasa'u? So it's right because, well, in the terms, if you see the next two words, ushemma nasa'u, which means that he tested him, and let's see what it means. And there he proved them. Well, here it says proved them, but nisa means tried. Nasa also means tested. So in this case, it would actually mean that he tested him. Right when, for example, another example in the Torah where Moses gets tested by God when God told him, hit the rock so that you bring water off, right? So why did Moses, what someone is asking, why did Moses needed to perform the miracle with a staff? Because, now he's being, equipped with those missions. He has to make the Israelites survive in the desert. So God, gave him miracles, right? In the Torah, that's what the Torah mentions. And his staff was one of the tools that was actually kept in the Mishkan. And it was also one of the tools that could perform those things. So that's what we learned from the Torah. So continuing on, if, and I'll read it from here, if you will diligently hearken or hear to the voice of the Lord. The English here is a little bit, maybe we can find an easier Hebrew, English. The English here is a little bit old. Let's see, maybe this one. Chabad, I believe, is one of them. Yeah. Now we need to go to chapter 15. There we go. Well, that same kind of Hebrew I see here. Let's try another one. Rules weren't necessary until the wanderers started to get stressed up and act up. Yeah, good point, Galervin. Let's try this English. So, same again. Hearken is the first time I hear this word. Hearken. I mean, it means hear, but cool to know now. Hearken. Hearken is maybe the best word. Hearken means hear of the voice of Hashem, thy God, and will do that which is right in His eyes. So here we have the kind of the covenant between God and man, which is that if you hear His voice, if you hear His commandments, and obey His commandments, He will remove all the disease. He will remove all the diseases, and He will never also put the diseases or the plagues which He put on Egypt, because I'm the Lord that heals you. He says. So now we have a covenant between God and man and the Israelites. Of course, it's also not only the Israelites, but of course the world. That there's commandments, there's laws. If you follow them, you live, like the Torah told us. Because not on bread alone does a man live. Because on every word that comes from the mouth of God, He lives. So we have the first necessities of food, and then comes the necessity of logic and commandments. So these are the second guide for you in life. Alright, continuing on. Now Elim, and let's go for the next chapter here. Would be 16, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Alright, so when they went to Elim, it is famously known that they found 12 fountains, water fountains, and of course the 70 palm trees. Oh, I need to go to 17 here then. Well, let's continue. So here, after Elim, after the water got sweetened for the Israelites, they were allowed, they drank, and only then the Torah mentions that they came to the desert of Sinai. And then in the desert of Sinai, of course, the desert of Sinai is right above, a little bit east of Egypt, and it is known to be a harsh environment, of course. It's a desert. So now Moses has this mission to basically lead the Israelites in a pretty harsh environment. So we begin to see the challenges. So here we say that they came into Sin Madbar. Sin means the desert of Sinai. That is between Elim, bin Elim bin Sini. Now, what's interesting here is that Madbar Sen, so you see this word right here, Sen means, of course, desert of Sinai, but here we have Sini, so we have an extra Yud. Sini, so what in our tradition, it is known, not sure if it's by our sage marker or not, but Yud means kind of a sign for 10. If you go for the numerology, when we have ancient Hebrew, we have Aleph, A, B, C, D, right? Aleph is 1, Bet is 2, until you get to the letter Yud, which is 10. What is 10? Some Samaritans here, I don't know if it's in the Jewish traditions as well. Yud is the commandments, right? The 10 commandments. That's the sign of the 10 commandments. So right after the Israelites basically got the Ten Commandments, we also begin to be referring to this desert as Sinai, because this is why it says it's between, right? So Madbar Sen is right between Elim, and then soon the Israelites would reach Sinai after they get the Ten Commandments. So again, this is one of our interpretations. Alright, so on the 15th of the second month, since their exodus from Egypt. Continuing on, ويلانوا كل بني إسرائيل على موشي والآرون بمدبر ويامروا إليما بني إسرائيل ميت موطان وأبيض شيما بارس مصر. So we have, like, again, we have the Israelites murmuring, basically rebelling against Moses, because they felt like, they left Egypt, but they left it for even more danger, which is being in the desert. So here they're saying, like, wow, we wish we died in the desert, and then we wish we died in Egypt, or we wish we came back to Egypt and not die here, is what I mean. So so again, we wish we died by the Lord in Egypt. So here, this is interesting. What would the translation exactly here would be? Now we have to go back to chapter 16 actually to get this part. So even before that, chapter 15. I need to find the better website here. One sec. A good website, maybe this one, Bible Society, maybe. Let's see. Although this sounds more perhaps like the Christian side. Mind you, if you're the first time, if you're like listening to this, there's differences between the Samaritan Hebrew and the Samaritan, of course, Hebrew and the Jewish Hebrew, but there's also differences between the Torah, the Samaritan Torah, and the Jewish Torah. Continuing on here, we have so it begins from here, Song of Miriam. Okay, the bitter waters, we already talked about this. We on the next part. How do we go for the next chapter? There it is. Moses and Aaron tell the community to stand up because here we go. So I was trying to interpret this part here. Who, like, we wish we died in by the hands of the Lord in Egypt. And then I want to interpret this part, so it would be here. We wish that the Lord had killed us in Egypt. There we could at least sit down and eat meat and as much other food as we wanted. Okay, so I get it now. So, but because, of course, in Egypt, even though they were slaves, but, slaves, for them to work hard, they need to eat well. So now they say, like, okay, even though we were slaves, but at least we had meat and we had other great foods. Rab in Hebrew means, the Jewish Hebrew, ra'av, which means hunger. So, okay, like it said here, but you have brought us into this desert to starve us all to death. Okay, so continuing on to the next part. Okay, so ويوم الشيمة الموشي إناني ممطر لكما ليم من الشامم ويسا عام ولقيته ده بريوم أبيومو. So The Lord said to Moses, now I'm going to make food rain down from the sky for all of you. The people must go out every day and gather enough for that day. So in this way I can test them to find out if they will follow my instructions. On the 6th day they are to bring in twice as much as usual and prepare it. So so the word meshni here means to get twice as much. So this is basically talking about the man. In ancient Hebrew we say amman. Yes, good point, Kalervin, about the life gets harder. Does number 70 have a particular meaning according to the Samaritans? Yes, it's famously known, Michael, that it signifies the 70 Zakinim, the old men, the Zkanim, right? The 70 wise men, old men, if you want to call them. These are the old men who helped Moses lead the Israelites in the desert. So Moses and Aaron said to the sons of Israel in the evening, so this is an interesting way to put it. Moses said, the Lord will give you meat to eat in the evening. So here it says, no, this evening you will know that that it was the Lord who brought you out of Egypt. So here it says that in this evening you will know, because he will perform a miracle. In the morning you will see the dazzling light of the Lord's presence. He has heard your complaints against him. Yes, against him. Okay. Wananuma. Alright, Wananuma means that who are we, right? Because we are, let's see if it interprets here in English the same way as I thought. It is the Lord who will give you meat to eat in the evening and as much bread as you want in the morning, because he has heard how much you have complained against him. When you complain against us, you are really complaining against God, the Lord. Interesting way to interpret that. Wow. Because see, if I go to the to ancient Hebrew here, it says now in the evening you will know that God has brought you out of Egypt, and in the morning you will see the kabot shema. Kabot shema means the greatness, even there's a better word for it. In here it kind of says dazzling light. Interesting. I mean, it's a metaphorical thing, I believe. Dazzling light would be metaphorical, not an actual light, as far as we interpret it. And who are we? That you complained against us. This is how we interpret it. But here on the right side, it has an interesting interpretation. You should read it out. So, pretty interesting. Ya Omer, Sheh Mushi. And Moses said, okay. This, by the way, this verse right here, we read every Shabbat, because it's connected to Shabbat. So every Shabbat we read this portion, one of those verses that we read on Shabbat. Moses, continuing on here, Moses said to Aaron, tell the whole community to come and stand before the Lord, because he has heard their complaints. As Aaron spoke to the whole community, they turned towards the desert, and suddenly the dazzling light of the Lord appeared in a cloud. The Lord said to Moses, and I have heard the complaints of the Israelites. Tell them that at twilight they will have meat to eat, and in the morning they will have all the bread they want. They will know that I am the Lord. So what happens? Okay, so continuing on. And then when they basically head towards the desert, that they, in a sense, this is also pointing towards the pillar of the cloud. So, but I would like to save this question here for my uncle. What was the kavod? So kavod means respect also in Hebrew, but there's different ways to interpret it here. Complaining to Moses, Aaron, and Miriam is effectively telling Adonai that they regret following and trusting. Good point, yeah. I mean, yes, I mean that's the thing. He showed them so many miracles, but they still complain, right? So, all right. So continuing on here, the Israelites did this, some gathering more and more or less. Let's continue from this part. ويدبر شيما الموشي ليمور, and God said to Moses, شاماتي إتلا نطباني إسرائيل. I heard the complaints of the sons of Israel. دبر إلي يما ليمور, tell them, بن آير بمطاو كيلو باشر ببيقر تشبه أولام. So this is the part where it says that in the morning that they shall eat meat. In the evening they shall eat meat, and in the morning they shall eat bread. So here it's getting them ready for the amman. That's how it's called, right? The specific food that was raining from the sky in the morning, so that they collected it until the evening, and on the sixth day they would have to collect it twice because of Shabbat. So they shall not collect on Shabbat. So shalwi. So in Hebrew, I believe it's shalva, because in Arabic we have this thing called man wa salwa, which is again the specific food that was brought to them in the desert. Okay. وتكسيت أماني وبباقر أياتا أشكابة الطلصابة بلماني. So let's continue on big day. We want to go here. The Israelites did this, some gathering more or other less. When they measured it, those who gathered much did not have too much, and those who gathered less did not have too little. Each had gathered just what he needed. So this is actually that everyone shall collect as they needed. I don't know why it is saying here gathered. Let's see. So here, if we read here, but before I continue here, I just want to, clarify one more thing. On the seventh day, some of the people went out to gather food. This part would be بيوم الشابي. ويائي بيوم الشابي. Okay, now that this is what I want. There we go. Okay, so this would be from the beginning of here. On the sixth day, they gathered twice as much food. Whoops. Alright. قرابو ألفاني شيما كي شامت الأرض. We said here that God told them that he heard his complaints. ويدبر شيما الموشي ليمور شاماتي تلون طباني إسرائيل دبر إلي يما ليمور بن آئر بمطا وكيلو باشر. So now we also talked about this part, the eating of the meat. We begin here. فاني أمد برطق ماس فستق كوفر الآرس. So here is the first description of the man. Now, in our traditions, this specific kind of food is known to be kind of really not much different than what the Torah describes it here. It's some people say it looked like some specific white, I don't know how to call it, substance, but in a sense it really just tasted like honey. So you will read in the Torah that at some point they got bored of it. They wanted something new, but that's more, towards the end, I believe, of the Exodus. ويومر إيش العاء من'u. So everyone said to each other, man'u. What is this? Right? Or let's see what it says here. Yes, what is it? Man'u. Moses said to them, this is the food that the Lord has given you to eat. يومر موشي وألام إيشر ناطن شيما لا كما لا قال. This is the food which the Lord gave you to eat. زائد دابر إيشر صابا شيما لقيتو من منه إيش ألفي أكلو. That you shall take from it as much as you need, not more, not less. So it's kind of a test as well, because it is basically a test, right? So that they shall not be too greedy with it is what I mean. Turn off my phone here. Okay. I have a gather of it, every man according to his eating. Yes, good point. I mean, that's how one interpretation. That's the basically that you shall not be greedy with it. So a test of greed was given here. You're welcome, Robert. Thank you for joining. إيش اليوتر من نوعد بقر ولا شماء الموشي. So here we have the seventh day. ويعشو كان بانجار ويلقيتو أمر بي وماميت ويمدو بامر. Let's read the interpretation here even more. Some gathering more, others less. When they measured it, those who gathered much did not have too much, and those who gathered less did not have too little. Each had gathered just what he needed. Moses said to them, no one is to keep any of it for tomorrow. But some of them did not listen to Moses and saved part of it. The next morning it was full of worms and smelt rotten. And Moses was angry with them. Again, here we have the frustration going on that Moses told them do this, but a lot of them did not obey this commandment. So already we see the Israelites not obeying the commandments. On the sixth day, they gathered twice as much food, 4 liters for each person. So we have sixth day, so preparing for Shabbat, and all the leaders of the community came and told Moses about it. And he said to them, while we're reading this, I'm just gonna try to copy this and see what would ChatGPT come up with, like as a picture for the food. Create or imagine the food mentioned in the verses. The manna. Create a picture imagining it in the desert of Sinai. Let's see what it comes up with. Creating 2 images. Nice. So on the 7th day, some people went out to gather food, but they did not find any. So here we have, let's continue here. Yutiru enashim miminu al-bekhar. Okay. So on the 6th day, people gathered double the quantity. So Yagidu al-Mushi would be that they asked Moses, but let's see the exact translation here. Has commanded us to have some manna to kill their descendants. Okay, not this one. Yes, so, and all the leaders of the community came and told Moses about it. Well, told Moses about it, which means that they basically got twice as much for the 6th day. But they went to ask Moses about it. So what did Moses says? The Lord has commanded that tomorrow is a holy day of rest. So this is the first mentioning of the holy day of the week, Shabbat. What image did we get? Whoa. That doesn't look like, it looks like worms or something. Don't think it would be. Okay, here we have something else. I mean, this kind of makes more sense, right? Because they didn't really pick it up, and there was not a specific shape to it, as the Torah really didn't talk about a specific shape. It just talked about a taste. I like that. I like this one more than the past one. The past one looked wrong. Oh, no, this looks like a bugs or something. Okay. I just gave it the verse and let it imagine what happened here. But yeah, you can imagine them, like that's, I think the second picture would make more sense. So continuing on here, we have so here, this is the first mentioning of Shabbat, the day of rest for the Israelites. Now, of course, not the first mentioning that God rested on the seventh day, but it's the first time that basically God commands man to keep Shabbat, to keep this rest day, that he shall work 6 days and on the seventh day he rests. So they're already being prepared for, before entering the Holy Land, that they have to keep Shabbat. And how is he preparing them? He already told them here, it eshor tefu efu. And which kind of means whatever you want to do. But let's see here. It says here, so efu means, in Hebrew we say mafia, bakery. And so in this case it would mean bake. Bake today what you want to bake, and boil what you want to boil. Levashel, tebashel, in Hebrew, in the ancient Hebrew, bashelu, it's to boil. So you can boil vegetables or you can boil meat. So it says, whatever you want to do on the sixth day, you do that. And anything that is excess, you shall keep until the next morning. Which, by the way, is my favorite favorite food of the week. You can say is the breakfast of Shabbat. It's really tasty. Which reminds me, I want to make a video on that. Certain Samaritan dishes would be cool. Okay, so continuing on. ويني وتوعد أبيك قائشر صابع شيما قائشر صابع موشي ولا أبيش ورما لا أياطابو. So this is one of the miracles that those people who have obeyed this command to keep the food until the next day, the food did not rot or did not have anything wrong with it. So that's what it really means. Again, so on the seventh day, some people, we want to go here. And Moses had a commandment, they kept what was left until the next day. It did not spoil or get worms in it. Moses said, eat this today, because today is the Shabbat, a day of rest dedicated to the Lord, and you will not find any food outside the camp. You must gather food for 6 days, but on the seventh day, the day of rest, there will be none. Okay, on the seventh day, some of the people went out to gather food, but they did not find any. The Lord said to Moses, how much longer will you people refuse to obey my commands? Remember that I, the Lord, have given you the day of rest. And that is why on the sixth day I will always give you enough food for 2 days. Everyone is to stay where he is on the seventh day and not leave his home. In this case, we, in our Samaritan neighborhoods, we do get out of our homes. It's just that we do not really get out of the neighborhood, not too far from the neighborhood, at least, like the farthest you can get, without, let's say, breaking the commandment, would be something like 10 minutes walk away from the neighborhood. We don't have a specific line to go out of it. Did I mention how much I love Shabbat? Continuing on here for the next page. Yeah, Larry, that's that's disgusting. That what I saw in the picture here. Unless it's little breads, maybe, you know, if you consider this like little tiny breads, but no, that doesn't look good. Okay. So on the seventh day I will not give you, because on the sixth day I will give you double, which also reminds us of the 50 years, not 50 years. So we have the Shnat Shemitah, right? 6 years you farm, on the 7th year you give the land the rest. So on the 6th year, God will give you double, so that on the 7th year you will not farm, you will not need to farm, but you will give the land the rest it needs. So this is a similar thing, really. Let's continue from here. ويوم شيما الموشي عد أنا ما أنتما لشمر مصابوتي وطوروتي رأوكي شيما ناطن لا كما اتأشبت علكن أونوتن لا كما بيوم الششي لام يومائم. So this is saying here that God told Moses that until when are you going to disobey my commands and my Torah, right? Turuti, which is a really important word here. Torah means Torah. Turuti means, in a sense, my commandments, my Torah. Behold and see that God gave you Shabbat. So that I also, one reason why I gave you twice the food on the Friday, 6th day, that you shall rest on the 7th day. That you shall not get out of your house, your home, your neighborhood on the Saturday. And for the food, the sons of Israel called this man. And it is like the, well, let's see here what interprets this, because here we just say that it really kind of tastes like honey with yogurt. So laben means yogurt. How much longer will you be enough? The people of here we go. So the people of Israel called the food manna. It was like a small white seed. Well, there we go. This, you see, now we see ChatGPT kind of getting the good part here. It does look like they're collecting seeds from here. So if it's a good imagination, it might have been like this, right? Is the man like manna? Well, yeah, could be pasta. Yeah, good point. If that was pasta, I would be better. Imagine them having pasta over there, right? In the desert, boiling it. But they could not make pasta over there, no farming. The people of Israel called the food manna, and it was called, okay, so the Lord commanded us to save some manna to be kept for our descendants, so that they can see the food which he gave us to eat in the desert when he brought us out of Egypt. So this was actually made possible in the Mishkan. So the Ark of the Covenant, it is known that they kept this piece for the generations to come to see what their ancestors have eaten in the desert. But today we do not have this Ark of the Covenant, so it maybe at some point in the future it is revealed. That's the tradition that is believed, and that we can see it in our own eyes. Take a jar, put 2 liters of manna in it, and place it in the Lord's presence to be kept for our descendants. And the Lord had commanded Moses, Aaron, put it in the front of the covenant box. You see, the Israelites ate manna for the next 40 years until they reached the land of Canaan, where they settled. So, ka sansenet. Sansenet kind of means container. وتنشم ماله أمر من Wani utwalvani shema al-mashmarat al-duruti. Kimma here means that you shall keep it to the next generations. And here it says that they really ate it for 40 years until they came to the Holy Land. So continuing on here, that the whole Israelites left the desert of Sin, moving from one place to another at the command of the Lord. They made camp at Rephidim, but there was no water to drink. They complained to Moses, so again they complain again. ويومر وطعنا لا نمام ونشتي ويوم لما أموشي ما طاريب إمادي وما تنسوي تشيما ويسمى شم عام المم. So yasma means that they were thirsty for water. ويلا عام الموشي, they complained to Moses. ويومر لما عالي طانو من مصر ليمت أوتي وتماني وتمقني أفساما. Why did you bring us out of Egypt? To kill us and make us die and our sons and our sheep from thirst. And Moses complained to God, saying, what shall I do for this nation that they would almost stone me to death, right? ويوم الشيما الموشي عبر ألفاني عام وقائدتك مزاقيني إسرائيل ومطك إيش كتابو اتأير. So God told Moses, then go in front of the nation and take with you مزاقيني إسرائيل ومطك إيش بيدك. So take with you some of the old men, and here it also means wise men. So not literally like old men who cannot walk, right? Wise. وقالك إنني عامل ألفانك شمع الصربور وقيتا صور يصا منه مم وشاطع عام وياش كان موشي ليني زاقيني إشتايل ويقرأ شمع ماقم مسا وماريبة. Now here at this point we have one of two demands by God that Moses hits the rock. The first time it's here and he obeys it. The second time he does not obey it and he gets punished by not being allowed to enter the desert, to the Holy Land, right? So so this place where Moses did perform this miracle basically is called Massa Umariba, so the test. So here we know like this is the first battle that the Israelites are about to have. So sorry for that. So here Moses asks Yehusha. Yehusha was the kind of like the commander for Moses, the commander of the army, the commander of the who led the people. So choose for us people and go for battle with the Amalek. The Amalek are people who, some people would say that they had huge bodies, huge physiques. There's different interpretations for that. But they were strong. That's the belief that they were stronger people living in some were in the Holy Land, but they were also apparently around Sinai, right? Because they came in Sinai, which is Rephidim. And here is an interesting place. This is worth mentioning. Rephidim is made from, in the Samaritan belief, it's made from two words: Raf, Resh, Pei. Yedem means hands. Yedim, Rephidim. Raf means weak hands, right? Yedim. So weak hands. And if you read here, okay, so Moses commanded him and went out to fight the Amalekites. While Moses, Aaron, and Hur Ur, in ancient Hebrew, went up to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his arms, the Israelites won, but when he put his arms down, the Amalekites started winning. When Moses' arms grew tired, here we see Rephidim, Aaron and Ur brought a stone for him to sit on while they stood beside him and held up his arms, holding them steady until the sun went down. And this is one of the reasons why we have prayer right here. If you go to Samaritan prayer, you would see people, like here, you see they're holding up their hands. Or I saw another one right here. Like right here. So you can see that the Samaritans here are holding their hands. Same idea. This is why we believe that, this prayer is more than 3,600 years old. The tradition to hold up the hands while praying. It's kind of like a calling, right? So again, when Moses, one difference between the Samaritan Torah and the Jewish Torah is that the yud here is missing, which kind of changes the meaning from weak hands to kind of meaning weak blood. But that's one small minor difference. So his hands was steady until the sun went down. In this way, Joshua totally defeated the Amalekites. Then the Lord says to Moses, write an account of this victory so that it will be remembered. Tell Joshua that I will completely destroy the Amalekites. Moses built an altar and named it, "The Lord is my banner." He said, hold high the banner of the Lord. The Lord will continue to fight against the Amalekites forever. Let's see if this would be a good interpretation here from what I read. Okay. Okay, banner here, in a sense, it also would mean altar, mezbeach. So apparently the translation on the right side is translated as not altar, but really as banner. I don't know why would banner mean altar, but in this case, again, we would have it as an altar. This altar was kind of like whenever a prophet either gets his promise done, gets his covenant given by God, he would build the altar. Noah built an altar because he survived from the flood. Abraham made a sacrifice on the altar when his son was saved. Yaakov built an altar when he survived the whole 7 years. Even actually more, 14 years with Laban. And now we also see the Israelites building an altar. And here's a side note, a cool fact. So do you know the story of when Abram was visited by 3 people who were actually, the Torah kind of, the Torah describes them as angels. Now, when the Torah talks about it, it mentions that Abram asks his wife to hurry and make bread. In ancient Hebrew, we say that he told her, Ma'eri. In a sense, the last few words would say Eshi Igot. So, like, make bread. So, this describes really kind of very, very similar to what the Israelites did when they were going out of Egypt, that they had to do bread real fast, right? So this is what kind of also talks about. You see the connection here? That the Abram ordered his wife to make bread fast. In a sense, it would have been unleavened bread. Same thing with the Israelites would have done when they went out of Egypt to make bread fast. Very cool to see the connection here. let's go for the next chapter. Hi, Sion. Yeah, for sure. Do talk to me. Just send me the details, if you like, on here. And we can talk. Okay. So, ويشمع يترو قائن مدين عات الموشي اتكل إيش رعاشا إلوم الموشي. So, Jethro, the priest of Midian, heard about everything that God had done for Moses and the people of Israel when he led them out of Egypt. So he came to Moses, bringing with him Moses' wife Zipporah, who had been left behind, and Gershom and Eleazar. So why would, does it say here, left behind? Let's see. Oh, wow. Aer Shalui. Okay, I have to ask this for my uncle. What's this? Shalua. Like, did Moses divorce one of his wives? Zipporah? والثاني بانية. Okay, I don't think it's about divorce. There's something missing here. But this is something that I have to ask my grandfather and my uncle about it. So, wow. Cool. Moshe sends Zipporah away. Yeah, but to where and why? I don't think I've ever read this. It's so interesting. See, this is the question you would challenge others with. I just have to know the answer myself, though. His two sons, Gershom and Eleazar. Ki elu abi bezi. Gershom means that so Gershom is made from two words. Ger means neighbor. Sham means there. I was a neighbor there. I was a neighbor in the land. Or I was, in a sense, not exactly a neighbor, but a stranger in a strange land. A foreigner in a strange land. So we had named one Gershom. Okay, so the second name is Eleazar, and Eleazar is the God of my father helped me and saved me. So Eli-Azar. Eli means my God. Azar means helped. So Moses told Jethro everything that the Lord had done to the king and the people of Egypt in order to rescue the Israelites. He also told them about the hardships the people had faced on the way and how the Lord, had saved them. When Jethro heard all this, he was happy. Okay, so he in this part he would say, Ana means from the Hebrew word machane, which means camp, so where they camped. Ara Eluim, so very important point here. Ara Eluim would be Mount Sinai, and here it says would have to be the Mount of God. It would be here. Okay, camped at the holy mountain. Wow. Why would they interpret it as this? The holy mountain. While the exact, translation from here would be the mountain of God. So you have to see why, differences of interpretations here, I believe. Oops. One, two, three. Yes, I'm here. So, we continue from here. So Moses told Jethro about everything that happened and all the miracles that happened when what God did to Pharaoh and Egypt. Al Idat Israel. Itkel Ateliyah Esher Masat ma Baderek. Ateliyah kind of would mean like all the the challenges that, let's say, I mean, the challenge, let's see, the challenges, I would say, would it mean either the challenges or the miracles? What would it say here? Well, here it just says heard about everything when led them out of Egypt. So he came to Moses, bringing with him Moses' wife. Okay, no, we're not at the correct place. Oh, there it is. Everything that the Lord had done to the king and the people in order to rescue the Israelites. So the word rescue would be the thing. Oh, hardships. This is the word. Okay, excuse me. So the word teliyah would mean hardships, and this is a good interpretation. This is what I was aiming for. Had faced on the way and how the Lord had saved them. Holy Mountain does sound more Christian, you're right. I mean, it's not about really sounding or not sounding. The literal translation of Elohim means God. So now I know that the Lord is greater than all the gods. So here it says in ancient Hebrew, Baruch Shem Esher Yosel Et Kimma Miyad Misrim Miyad Faru Esher Osel Et Am Mittet Yad Misrim. So blessed is the Lord who had saved you from the hands of Egypt, or in a sense the Egyptians, and in the hands of Pharaoh. Let's make ChatGPT some, imagine this. What would it be? Imagine a photo for this verse or verses, whatever. Continuing on while it's doing that. Now I knew. Atta yadati. Atta means now. In Arabic it means aunt. So, but here it means now. Atta. Yadati means knew. Now I knew. Ki gadol shema mikala eluim, that the Lord, Shema, and again we interpret the word Shema as the Lord, as God. This is the photo it made. Supposedly Jethro meeting Moses in the desert. Cool. Next to Sinai, perhaps, right? If you take your imagination farther. Very nice. Not bad. Okay, so after this whole thing about, Jethro and telling Jethro what happened, now, it's not really the end of the story, it's only the beginning. Now Moses has to, he has what was, what the Torah tells us, 600,000 people in the desert, and everyone with their complaints, and he had to, he was kind of the judge for those people. Those people needed a third party to judge between them, much like how the government does with people today. But he was obviously just, of course, one man, and that was too much for him. So what the Torah tells us now, that the nation, meaning the Israelites, stood in front of Moses from morning till evening. And then, Jethro, the how would you call them? Aten. So what happened is that Jethro, when he saw that, he was like, well, you're not doing well. This is not a good thing. So the interpretation here would be, what is all this that you are doing for the people? Why are you doing this alone with people standing here from morning till night to consult you? Moses answered, I must do this because the people come to me to learn God's will. When two people have a dispute, they come to me, and I decide which one of them is right, and I tell them God's commands and laws. Moses wasn't that old yet. Poor Moses getting super 8. Yeah, you're right. I mean, he was, what is he, 80, I think? Oh, what is he at that time? Possibly 60? I know that Aaron was 80 when he met his brother Moses for the first time. Okay, so let them serve as judges for the people. So here it says, now we're continuing, we're getting closer to the 70 zakinim, right? وكالعام نسب علي عالك من أبيخر وضائر ويوم موشي لاتين وكيا بو إلي عام لدرش إلوم وكيا إلي ما ديبر باو إلي وشافتي بن إيش وبن ريو. So, and I would judge between a person and his brother, right? Between two people. وداتي واتأقي آيلوم والتوروتو. Again, أقي means right, law, right? So, and turuto means his Torah or his commandments. In the Jewish Torah, I think he was in the... Yeah, good point, Robert. Yeah. He was 80, as the Torah says. So here he tells him this is not a good thing that you're doing because it's, it's going to drain you. You are not doing it the right way. You will wear yourself out of these people and these people as well. This is too much for you to do alone. Now let me give you some good advice and God will be with you. It is right for you to represent the people before God and bring their disputes to him. So in the Torah it would be like this. He says, La tukal ashut wal badak, that you cannot do it by yourself. Hatta shema afkuli. Now hear my voice and hear my advice. Isak. Isak. Isak means... does it mean asak in Arabic? Which would make it mean perhaps or by God's willing? Let's see. Okay, I think this word, Isak, would mean this whole thing here. Now let me give you good advice. It is right for you to represent the people before God and bring their dispute to him. You should teach them God's commands and explain to them how they should live and what they should do. But in addition, you should choose some capable men and appoint them as leaders of the people, leaders of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. They must be God-fearing men who can be trusted and who cannot be bribed. Very important point. Bribe, like the Torah says, ki because bribe blinds wise men. Let them serve as judges for the people on a permanent basis. They can bring all the difficulties. So, in ancient Hebrew, we would say, what the... So, Shanai Besa means that they hate bribe. Okay. Enoshi'il means people of righteousness, or like it says here, people who can be trusted. So this is an interesting point. What would that mean? That you shall put tens, fifties. Okay, appoint them as leaders of the people, leaders of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. So, capable of men, and appoint them as leaders of the people. I wonder what would ChatGPT say about this, because what I imagine would be that there's a way that you can judge two people. You might need a different judge to judge 10 people, right? And a different one to judge 50 people. What is the part about... So I'm asking you about the part of the 50s, 10s. The advice that Jethro gives to Moses about appointing leaders of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens is a suggestion to establish a hierarchical system of governance or management among the Israelites. This system is designed to distribute the workload of judging or resolving disputes among the people, thereby preventing Moses from becoming overwhelmed by the burden of handling all the matters alone. Leaders of thousands, these would be officials or judges responsible for the largest group of people, possibly acting as the highest level of authority under Moses within the community. They would handle the most significant cases or disputes that affect a large number of people. Oh, yeah, I mean, just what I thought. Leaders of hundreds, this tier would manage smaller groups than those under the leaders of thousands, overseeing matters that are less complex but still significant. They would act as intermediaries, handling cases that do not require Moses' direct intervention but are too significant for the leaders of the smaller group. And then you have the 50s and the 10s that I would see like it's a little bit, yeah. So it's kind of like a hierarchical structure, meaning that you would appoint more time perhaps for the people who are like, for the more problematic problems. So it's kind of like economic, like if you have more of like to judge 1,000 people, meaning you can judge a whole tribe, you would leave a different judge for that person. Another judge would be for to judge between either, like, for example, two families or two groups, and then others for different sizes. Would make a lot of sense, yeah. It's a practical solution for administrative and judicial management, ensuring that leadership and decision making are accessible at all levels of the community. Interesting. I sometimes hear Jews identify the Sanhedrin with the group of righteous men who judge cases. Do Samaritans view this Sanhedrin? I'm not sure if I know what you mean here, Robert, but what Larry is asking, what are your thoughts on leaders of tens? Do you think it was the head of the households? Households meaning tribes? I thought it would be, because tribes would be like the highest order if there were many, because if there were 12 tribes, it would be among the thousands, right? If that's what you mean. So do clarify your question, maybe, Larry, so I can know more about it. Okay, so one of the most iconic moments here is that Moses was frustrated, and he said, I alone cannot really, here the word shat means carry you, but let's see. What is missing here? There's something missing here that is... There's something missing here, because here it says that God really... Moses told the nation that I cannot carry you alone. I wonder what if I gave it this verse, would it imagine another image? Which for... leaders of tens, leaders of hundreds, leaders of thousands, Abud the Sanhedrin were the ruling rabbinical council in Jerusalem. Never heard about it. Interesting. Okay. Moses trying to judge here. I think that's what they were saying. Although, person here with I don't know, how would you call this? The haircut? We do not have the haircut in the Samaritan community, the specific one. But it may be a personal choice. Others are wearing It is something. Trying to put Mount Sinai here in the background is a nice idea, though. Good one. Okay. I don't see the translation of this part, so I really need to know if this part exists in the Jewish. Okay, we have this, so I'm sure we can do it from here. So next chapter, Shmot. Okay, now we need one more chapter. Next chapter of Amalek. Okay, so this is the really next. The next part is very important. Oh wow, okay. So this whole part here I do not see in the Jewish version of the Jewish Torah. Wow, that's huge. Well, so let me tell you what is this whole verse here that is not found in the Jewish Torah apparently. يوم الشيما العام يوم الموشي العام لا أوكل أناكي البديشات إتكما. Moses told the nation, I alone cannot carry you. شيما إلهي كما أربعة كما, that God your Lord had multiplied you. And there you are today, like this, the many stars of the sky. And the Lord of your fathers have multiplied you 1,000 times and blessed you like he told you. How will I alone carry all your problems and Ribkimma means fights between each other. So in here and he says that I will bring wise people, honest people from your tribes, and I will put them at your top, meaning as leaders. And then the nation replied to Moses saying, what you're saying is good. Okay? So Moses here is, kind of affirming reaffirming what Jethro told him. Then he will put leaders of 10 on the 10 people on the 10 people, leaders of 50, leaders of 100 and the leaders of on 1,000. And Shutarim here also means judges, but in Hebrew here today, Shoter means police. So in a sense, judge, police, right, between two people. يما ليمر شيماء وبنعاء كما وشافت لما صادق بن إيش وبنعاء وبن نجيرو. So here between your brothers, or here from your brothers, وشافت لما صادق بن إيش وبنعاء وبن نجيرو. And then you shall judge rightfully between one and his brother, meaning his brother, or the Israelite brother. لا تكيروا فانم بمشفت. You shall not identify as one word, face. So what that means, لا تكيروا فانم المشفت, means that you shall not say that, oh, I know this face, or I know he's my friend, therefore I will judge him better than the other one. كقاطن كقاضل تشمون. You shall not also say by age, if this person is older than this person, then he must be right or wrong or whatever. No, do not judge by age. So because the judgment is for God. And anything that you find, so he's telling also not only for the Israelites, for the nation, but also for the people, the Skenin, the 70 wise men, he's telling them that anything you find hard for you to judge and decide, just tell me and I will basically tell you what it is through God. تقريبا إلي وشماتي ويصاب وتم يدك الأدبار من يشر يشون يشفاط وتعام أفكال أت أدبار أنقاض ليبيان المشي وكل إشراقات يشفاط. So anything, and that's what happened, that anything, any big matter they would bring to Moses, and any small matter they would solve by themselves. كل أدبار قال شفاطون ويشل مشي تعتين ويالك الأرض. Okay, I was wrong. This verse is actually here. It's just that there's two similar endings. Let's see again. Okay, so actually I was wrong. This whole verse here, excuse me, is actually found in the Jewish Torah. But it just happened that there's some kind of repeating of sentences that I thought it's a repetition. It's not easy switching between ancient Hebrew to English and all back. But this is it. We finished the Parasha of this week. Very beautiful Parasha, very important. And this is one of those, structural parashot, right? Because it's setting the laws, setting Shabbat, who will judge the nation. It's very, very foundational. So, but I haven't found that many words that I didn't know, but I did find some that I do want to know more. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for sticking with me on this one. If you have specific questions, please do let us know in the comments. There's your comments and chat. I don't think I have much time to go into the next parasha, but it was a beautiful live stream for me, and it's not easy to look at a screen for a long time, especially after also 9 hours of work on a screen today. But this is life today, screens. I feel ready for tomorrow. That's awesome. Being ready to have questions, to answer questions, that's awesome. But being ready to ask questions, that's even more awesome. And I have to think about it. At some point, who knows? I might be a high priest, because that's one thing. Oops. That's one thing that we don't really practice. You don't practice being a high priest. You just are a high priest one day, but you can say I'm not ready, and you can refuse it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because if I'm a high priest one day and a person would come to me and ask me a question, just like how Moses, I'm not comparing myself to Moses by any means. But I see my grandfather, who is also a high priest, and sometimes people would come to him to ask him specific questions. I would not want to not be ready to answer that question. So this is why I'm also very enthusiastic about learning every single bit of ancient Hebrew that I can here. A little bit of how we pronounce ancient Hebrew. So if you look here, Aleph and Nun. So Aleph is A, Nun is N, and Kaf, palm, right? If you can see, it kind of looks like this, right here. And Yud means hand. It's kind of like a way of, for example, you can see there's 3 fingers, but how do we pronounce this? Well, when the letter starts with the word starts with Aleph, and not with hey, like here, you would usually say ah. The next word would be nun, so you'd say on, and because this is kaf, you would say ah, na, ki. You wouldn't say ah, na, ki. It just pronounces ah, na, ki. It's because this is a, nun, kaf, yud. Here's another word. This is a laf. This is a lamed. So it's el and not al. How do we know? Good question. I mean, for me, I don't really remember how I learned it. There was, my teacher. But for me, it's more of recognition of words now. I don't really pronounce the word every letter, right? Like you do in English if your first language is in English. So it would be eluikim. Hey is not pronounced. It's an what's the word? I forgot. A, E, I, O, U. How do you call those? Oh God, I'm blanking out on this one. Not adverbs, not adjectives. Vowels. Is that the word? Eluikim. Yud. So is elui. So yud is e. Kaf is ka. So elui ki. And one difference is that if I want to say this in more Hebrew, you would say Elohechem, Elohechem. So, yeah, that's a vowel. That's the word I wanted, vowels. I'm blanking out on those things. It's so weird. So it's a long day, I guess. Here's one more word. Here we have two kafs and a ba. So, kaku, kabi. So, kukab is one word, which means kochav, star. Kochav. Kakokabi is like the stars. Kekochvei, if I want to say it in Hebrew, more modern Hebrew. You have to wonder, how did the teacher, in my childhood, teach me this is incredible. He must have been very, very patient. So I'll give you some examples of how different ancient Hebrew sounds like than the Jewish one. So Ya Omer, here it says Ya Omer, and he said, and in the Jewish one you would say Veya Omer. Mushi in ancient Hebrew, Samaritan Hebrew, Moses, and the more modern one would be the Assyrian Hebrew pronunciation, or Jewish Hebrew, Moshe. Al-Am in Samaritan Hebrew, and in Jewish Hebrew, El-Ha'am. In Samaritan Hebrew, La Ukal. In more modern Hebrew, Lo Ochal. I will not be able to, is what it would mean. Or I can give you another word here. Veshaftu et ha'am in Jewish Hebrew. And in Samaritan Hebrew, I would say Ushafatu et ha'am, and let them judge. And Moses chose able men, Ve'yivchar Moshe Anshei Chil Mechol Israel. In Samaritan Hebrew, it would be Uyebar Mushi Enoshi Il Mikkel Yisrael. Okay, because that's not exactly the verse we have. That's interesting. Okay, you're not seeing what I'm. Oh, sorry. I was referring to this part right here. Yefchar Moshe Enashi El Mechol Israel. I don't think we have that. I need to check this one out though. I'm not sure. So again, here, and Moses chose able men out of all Israel and made them heads over people. Ah, there it is. So it would be a little bit farther actually from this part. Shantani mashari Allah fi mashari ma utfari yem shari asharot even kama devel katin shfatu. What do you mean, Aaron? The surgery? Get well soon if you did have a surgery. I can't find it. It's so weird. Okay, I'm gonna do one more thing here. I'm gonna wanna copy the verses that talk about the battle to ChatGPT and let it imagine an image for us. Let's see how well it can imagine this battle. So it would be the next part right here. There we go. Okay, we give it this verse right here. Imagine an image for these verses. By the way, I do have a local ChatGPT. Not ChatGPT, but it's actually another language model that I'm testing out. Olama 2, if you ever heard about it. But I forgot how to sum it. Olama. Let's see. It has to show me here. Oh, there it is. Olama Run Lama 2 is what I want. Okay, let's see what it have here. Wow, that's not bad actually, but there's something that is kind of hard for me to understand here. Let me show you what I mean. Face or head? Like from the back. Is that a beard? Because here there's I mean, good try is what I'm trying to say, but the face is looking like it's from the back, but the body is looking like it's from the front. That's weird. AI can be disturbing at some points, but try again. Okay, so this is a large language model that you can actually run on your computer without any internet. And it's incredibly fast, and I'm just testing it out. But I didn't ask it yet about Samaritans, so let's see what kind of information was it trained on before I end the live stream, because I didn't check that honestly. What do you know about the Samaritans? Let's see if it knows. Samaritans were an ancient people who lived in what is now the West Bank and Israel. They were you can probably hear my graphics card now going because it kind of ran the prompts locally. Unique beliefs. Okay, wait. They believed that their true spiritual home was on Mount Gerizim. Spiritual home. Sounds new agey. rather than Temple Mount in Jerusalem, but still correct. Unique beliefs. The Samaritans had a unique set of beliefs and practices that blend elements of Judaism with local pagan traditions. Local pagan traditions. Didn't know about that. I mean, that's maybe what some people thought. They believe in one God, but also worship a variety of other deities, including the goddess of Asherah and the god of Baal. Okay, this might have been an accusation about Samaritans, or some Samaritans at some point did that, disobeying the God. Yeah, okay, I see. Rivalry with Jews. Samaritans had a long-standing rivalry with... Here's the second part, by the way. Kippah? Wouldn't say they had kippahs at that time. Nah, what is here? I mean, looks more modern than I thought, I guess. But no, it's getting farther than I thought. Never mind. Notice it's written in past tense. Yeah, good point. Because it's almost like we don't exist today, you mean, Larry? Decline and extinction. The Samaritans reached the height of their power in the 2nd century BCE. But by the 4th century CE, they had largely disappeared as a distinct religious group. Today, there are no longer any living descendants of the Samaritan people. Whoa. That's interesting. Although some Jews have claimed to be Samaritan descendants. So it says here that today there are no longer any living descendants of the Samaritan people. Remember, this is a large language model that I downloaded that doesn't have access to the internet. It's called Llama 2. You can search it out. Apparently it's trained on a specific set of data, supposedly hundreds of thousands of texts, books, Reddit. But it says here that okay, let's continue the conversation. I'm curious with it. Legacy. Despite their decline and extinction, Samaritan left a lasting legacy in Jewish history and religion. Their unique beliefs and practices have influenced Judaism in various ways, particularly in the development of the Talmud, okay, so it says here that Samaritans left a legacy in Jewish history and religion. So some people would say that, but not particularly this way. Some people would say that the Samaritans have affected Judaism in such a way that, I mean, for example, the 5th book was not mentioned. At some point, some people say the 5th book was revived by Samaritans to the Jewish people. The 9th century Encyclopedia of Middle Ages, you mean? Interesting. Well, let's say, I see here you mentioned that there are no Samaritan people living today? Question mark. I apologize for any confusion. The Samaritans as a distinct ethnic and religious group have indeed largely disappeared, but some individuals and communities have claimed to be descendants of the Samaritans. However, these claims are not universally accepted, and the exact extent of Samaritan descent is difficult to determine. It's important to note that the Samaritan people, as described in the Bible, were a historical group that existed in the ancient Near East, primarily in what is now Israel and Palestine. While they had a distinct religious and cultural identity, they were not a separate ethnic group in the modern sense. Today, there are no longer any living individuals who can trace their ancestry directing back to the Samaritans of the biblical times. However, some Jews have claimed to be Samaritans. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to tell it that I'm a Samaritan. Let's see what it says. Interesting. So I happen to be one of 860 people that still lives on the mountain, on Mount Gerizim that you mentioned. We believe we happen to be what remained from the Samaritans. So you're kind of talking to one of them now. Smiley face. Wow, that's fascinating. I had no idea there were still living descendants of the Samaritans today. It's incredible that you and your community have managed to preserve your cultural and religious heritage despite the challenges and persecutions faced by your ancestors throughout history. Well, that's a beautiful answer. Can you tell me more about your community and how you still practice your faith? What is it like living on Mount Gerizim, and how do you connect with your Samaritan roots? I'm sure there are many questions I could ask, but I'll start with those for now. It's an honor to be speaking with one of the last remaining Samaritans. Well, I wouldn't blame the creators or the chat or whatever, but you would expect it to at least read a couple of books on Samaritans, or maybe like books mentioning the Samaritan community that are still living today. But what I like about having this local language model is that, okay, it does do some mistakes, but some tasks it can do very quickly, very fast, without any need for internet. So okay, so I have this copy. It's a sneak peek of the book I'm working on. I'll try to see, for example, how much pages can I put a prompt. I'll share with you guys some of the pages later soon, but so far I have these sneak peek, and we'll give it to it here and see. What did it say here? Okay, wait. Okay. My graphics card is going bubbles now because I gave it a big prompt, but so when I gave it the few pages I wrote in the book, it says, a mystery, adjusts detective hat. Okay. Well, my dear, it seems like you are someone who is part of a unique and fascinating group of people. You are one of the last remaining Samaritans, living on Mount Gerizim and preserving your cultural and religious heritage. As a fellow curious mind, I must ask, what is it like to be part of such a small, exclusive community? How do you maintain your traditions and beliefs in today's world? Have you faced any challenges or discrimination because of your identity? Oh, and by the way, winks, I think you might have forgotten something. What are Samaritans, or what is Samaritan? An excellent question. Adjusts monocle? What is that? The Samaritans were an ancient people who lived in what is now the West Bank in Israel. They were a religious group that emerged. You did mention this. Now, so my dear, there you have it. The Samaritans were an intriguing and complex group that offers insight into the diversity and complexity of the ancient Near Eastern religions and cultures. Wow, it wrote a lot in such a small amount, but what did it say? Do you find that visiting sacred sites like Göbekli Tepe? What? How do these experiences shape your understanding of the world? What is Göbekli? Now it's hallucinating, I think. Okay, so now it's giving questions and answering them, kind of like, almost like I'm the person. Is it still writing? It's still writing, okay. I hope it's not in a loop, though. That would make my, my graphics card is going insane now. Can I tell it to stop? Otherwise, it would really just go on. Yeah, it looks like it's repeating itself now. Wow, I broke it. okay, never mind. This was really interesting. See, what's interesting about like when you're talking to a language model, and you tell it you're a Samaritan, sometimes I get kind of the same reactions when I talk to tourists who for the first time hear about Samaritans. They would see like, oh wow, fascinating, you guys are still alive. And then the language model kind of brings the same feeling here when it says that. It's pretty cool. Abud, out of curiosity, I knew Samaritans used to have tribe of Benjamin. What was the tribe of Benjamin's last names? So we have we don't have Benjamin, actually. Benjamin is believed to be from, what I know is the Jewish people today come from the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, and half of Levi. But we only have today Joseph, so the two sons of Joseph, Ephraim and Menashe, and also the main one, Levi. Yeah, Larry, I do have some set of books that I can definitely I can ask it again. It's just that it kept going and repeating the questions, and my graphics card is going insane here, so I don't want it to crash it. If it goes into a loop, it would just be going on. If it got bugged out. But if you're curious about like one more, what did it say here? You are about to paste text that contains multiple lines. Unexpected execution of commands. Let's see. Kind of curious about one more thing here. What was the command? Run Olama 2. Command. Olama run Olama 2. There it is. Just give it this command, and now it's ready to go. Curious about what can it help me with? So it's Hebrew. Can you, for example, let's see how good is it? Does it know the Torah? Like what? Right, type down. Let's see. Type down the first verse is what I wanted to say from the Torah. Type down the first 300 words from the Torah in Hebrew. No. I mean, here it says, when God began to create the heavens and the earth was formless, void, and darkness covered. Here you may, okay, we can understand English, but the Hebrew got it all wrong. So ChatGPT would do a better job than I think, So that's disappointing. The Hebrew is disappointing from Lamma too, so... give me a random verse from the first 5 books of the Bible, Torah. And God said, let the waters teem with living creatures and let birds fly above the earth across the vault. So apparently it does have the Torah recorded in its database or recordings. So, I mean, at least that's going. All right, we're already 2 hours into the live. That's something that time flies when you're having fun. So, guess I'm gonna have to take a break for now. I wish I could stay more. It's awesome to keep learning. So if you sticked with me till now, appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you have an amazing weekend. Much blessings. In ancient Hebrew, we say "Shabi konta ben yesi," which means have a great Shabbat. let this Shabbat, be a source of rest for you. As humans, we need to rest. Today's world is filled with distractions, and it's sometimes you really lose time with distractions. You're distracted all the time. You just forget to really just sit and do nothing sometimes, or pray, or meditate. If you're not finding the time to do it on a normal week, days, because really it's insane, the level of things that try to take your attention on a normal basis, on a normal days. All right, Hashem bless you all. Shema bless you. Thank you. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Calorin. Sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly. Abu, do you think would be able to look into that, or do you think article was just lies? Which article? It was an article on the internet that said Samaritan's tribe of Benjamin died out, and the last person, I can look it up, but maybe in the next time I will tell you, Aaron, about it, but I don't think I heard about it, no. Response from Cal? Really? Cal is your... Wow, that's my nickname, actually. People always call me Cal. Like my nickname, Cal. Interesting. Nice to meet you. Okay. God bless you all. Shema bless you. See you soon. Peace.